After scanning 120 plus founders through interviews, we discovered 10 reoccurring patterns that we call loops. These loops affect our business. In this video, we're going to cover the 10 most reoccurring loop patterns in founders and show you exactly where they affect the business, but also what you can do to shift it. And this is about awareness. See if you recognize yourself in these loops. Let's dive in. Are you the go-to person for everything in your business? If so, you might be stuck in one of the most common loop we found, the over-functioning loop. This loop happens when the founder takes on too many roles: sales, operation, product, becoming the bottleneck for their own business. You know you are in this loop if decisions pile up without you weighing in, the team stalls without your input, and you feel buried in tasks only you can do. The cost is big. Deals slows down. Opportunities get missed, and your team loses its momentum. This loop hit two critical layers of the BAP, that is execution and momentum, and transmission and continuity. The fix then, how do you fix this loop? The key here is to delegate. Take a pen and a paper. Write down tasks only you can do. Pick one of them. And then set the standard, what you see as done, that meets your standard. Then you pick one team member that you trust. Give them full authority, but also ownership over this task. Train them. They understand exactly what to do, and you step away. Your job as a founder isn't to do it all. It is to build the system and make it all work. So here's your first step. Delegate one decision this week. Break the over-functioning loop and let your business scale. Are you giving so much to your customers or partners so it actually hurts your business? If so, you are in the generosity leak loop. This loop happens when founders over-deliver, discounting heavily, or saying yes to too many requests without clear return. You notice this loop if your margins keep shrinking, your team feels stretched thin, or your customers expect more than they are paying for. The cost: burnout teams, unsustainable pricing, and weakened positioning within the market. Instead of creating loyalty, it erodes trust and focus. In the BAP framework, this loop appears on 3 layers: boundaries and enforcement, generosity and expansion, and delivery. Because giving without guardrails drains both resources and reliability. The fix: reset boundaries. Price according to value. Define clear limits and make generosity strategic. Something that scales instead of drains. So break the generosity leak loop by choosing one area this week to tighten, whether it is pricing scope, or client requests. Remember, sustainable generosity fuels growth. Unmanaged generosity stalls it. Is your team busy but the progress feels scattered? That is the execution drift loop. This loop happens when a daily execution drifts away from the core vision, the North Star. Works gets done, but not in the right direction that drives real growth. You notice this if priorities shift week to week, projects stall midway through, or people work hard but results don't line up with the strategy. The cost: wasted energy, slow momentum, and missed opportunities. In the BAP framework, this loop creates friction and multiple layers: vision, creative spark, execution and momentum, transmission and continuity, and delivery. Because strategies, priorities, and daily action falls out of sync. How to fix it? Do a North Star cascade. Define 3 quarterly priorities. Translate into team level objectives. Stop or pause any work stream not directly tied to these priorities. Review alignment weekly at the leadership level. Break the execution drift loop by aligning your team around one clear priority this week. Momentum compounds when execution stays on track. Does your market hear one thing while your product delivers another? That is signal mismatch loop. This loop happens when your brand promise, sales messaging, or positioning doesn't actually line up what the customers actually experience. This loop happens when your brand promise, sales messaging, or positioning actually don't line up what the customers actually experience. You noticing it if prospects are excited but drop off after trying your product, or the customers keep saying, this isn't what I expected. The cost: lost trust, higher churn, and slower sales cycles. Over time, it damages credibility and stall growth. In the BAP framework, this loop shows up on 3 layers: brand and identity, feedback and refinement, and delivery. What you say and what you sell and what you deliver does not align. The fix then: run a brand delivery audit. Compare your marketing promises against actual customers' outcomes and tighten the gap. Break the signal mismatch loop by aligning your story with your delivery, and you will rebuild trust while accelerating your growth. Are you polishing system and processes before you landed a product market fit? That is the premature refinement loop. This loop happens when a business over-invests in optimization, perfecting dashboards, workflows, or documentation before the core offer is truly validated. You're noticing this loop if you build SOPs for things that rarely repeats, refining metrics that no one uses, or tightening processes around an unproven offer. The cost: wasted time, bloated overheads, and slower iteration. Instead of fueling growth, the business gets stuck in managing processes that don't matter yet. The fix then, match the refinement stage. It's okay, keep things scrappy until you have a repeatable demand. Then you layer in structure where it accelerates instead of slow down. Break the premature refinement loop by asking a question. Does this process serve today's growth, or am I just polishing for comfort? Build only what your stage demand, no more. Do you delegate tasks only to find they come back to you incomplete or lands back on your desk? If you recognize yourself in here, you are in the delegation breakdown loop. This loop happens when delegation isn't clear or supported. Tasks are handed off without the right context, structure, or accountability. You notice this loop if projects stalls, quality drops, or you end up redoing work you thought was delegated. Cost, lost time, frustrated teams, and you as a founder get stuck in execution instead of leading. This erodes trust on both sides. In the BAP framework, this comes up in systems and structure, execution and momentum, and transmission and continuity. Because poor delegation weakens process flow and team ownership. The fix: delegate outcomes, not just tasks. Give context, define success, and set checkpoints so your team can deliver without consistent handholding from you. So break the delegation loop by choosing one task this week to hand off with full clarity and let your team own the result. Do you feel that you can't fully trust your team to handle things on their own? If so, you might be stuck in the micromanagement loop. This loop happens when leaders hold on too tightly, consistently overseeing and controlling the team's work, leaving little room for autonomy. You will notice this loop when you're always checking in, redoing your team's work, or feeling you are the only one that can get this right. The cost: well, your team loses its morale, productivity drops, and execution slows down. Over time, you become the bottleneck, but also this leads to burnout. In the business alignment pyramid, this micromanagement loop affects 4 layers: execution and momentum, transmission and continuity, and delivery, but also brand and identity, because your culture starts to reflect a lack of trust. The fix is to delegate clearly, set up accountability systems, and give your team room to work on their own without your own intervention. Break the micromanagement loop by handing off one task fully and watch your team and your business move faster. Are you getting tons of feedback but unsure which one to act on? You might be stuck in the feedback fog loop. This loop happens when founders collect feedback but don't filter it, prioritize, or turn it into clean actions. So the business stalls in analysis mode. You notice this loop if your client input, team's idea, or market signals piles up, but decisions keep getting delayed because the data feels overwhelming. The cost, missed opportunities, wasted resources, and confusion across your team. Execution slows and your clients stop seeking improvements. When we scan this, it shows up in 3 of the BAP framework: feedback and refinement, delivery, but also brand and identity. Because weak, unclear signals lead to weak improvements and mixed messaging. The solution: build a system that filters signals, separate noise from signal, prioritize by impact, and act quickly on the 20% that moves the needle. So break the feedback fog loop by choosing one piece of feedback to implement this week. Clarity comes from action, not more data. So that's it. That is a few of the loops we discovered when we scanned over 100 businesses. I find myself still in a couple of these loops, and the key here is to reflect on oneself. We are habitual creatures, and understanding this can really help us see when we make decision. Am I making decision from a deeper place or just repeating a loop? So if you recognize yourself in here, I'd love to hear from you. Comment below. We're gonna upload more loops that we discover. This is about reflecting on oneself and the behavior and realize that this affect our business in multiple layers. And once we recognize them, we can do something to change them and move in a different way, because every thought, every action has a reaction, and that manifests in our business. So let me know if you saw yourself in these loops. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next video. Bye bye.